There's something magical about our national parks. The serene beauty of untouched wilderness, the promise of escape from the chaos of modern life. But beneath the tranquil facade lies a darker reality. Every year, hundreds of people disappear into the vast wilderness expanses, leaving behind little more than questions. Most vanish without a trace, their cases riddled with strange details that defy explanation. Are these tragedies the result of simple missteps and accidents? Or is there something more sinister lurking out there just beyond the obvious? In this video, we'll uncover 8 lesser-known disappearances from our national parks. Stories that have baffled investigators, haunted families, and fueled whispers of the inexplicable. From the chilling remnants of abandoned campsites to cryptic clues found miles from where the missing were last seen, these cases are as mysterious as they are unsettling. Could these stories just be cautionary tales about the untamed wilderness? Or is there something else at work? Something we can't or won't explain? As we dive into these disappearances, I want to hear what you think. Are these stories just coincidences of nature, or could they point to something deeper, darker, and far more disturbing? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you've ever had a strange encounter or unsettling experience in a national park, share it with me. Let's see if together we can make sense of the unspeakable. A young boy named Ethan Larkin disappeared from a family campsite near the Hoh Rainforest in the early morning hours of June 8th in 1993. His sister Laura claims she saw him walking hand in hand with a tall man who was silent and was dressed in old clothes. Being only 8 at the time, Laura calmly told her parents about the man and Ethan leaving. When her parents chased after them, the pair vanished into the dense underbrush. Search teams found Ethan's initials carved at the base of a tree near where the parents last saw them. Investigators unearthed decades-old records of similar cases involving children in the park. The common link? Each child was seen walking with a figure resembling the tall man. Local legends speak of a hermit who once lived in the woods, decades past, and lured children with promises of treasure before vanishing into the forest, leaving no trace. Ethan's case reignites fears that the hermit, or something much older, is still out there, waiting. Ethan's parents were questioned extensively, along with Laura, but their stories matched. For years, reporters dogged the family about Ethan's disappearance, with some claiming they were somehow involved in it. To this day, Laura maintains her family's innocence, describing the tall man and Ethan walking calmly away from the campsite. Her parents died never knowing what happened to their baby boy. Could this hermit still be out there, stealing kids from their families? How could he have disappeared with the boy right in front of his parents? Where could they have gone? Another big question centered on why Ethan's initials were found scratched on a tree. Was there some meaning there, or was it just coincidence? Oddly enough, the initials were not freshly carved. Investigators were baffled by that, but believed they could be linked to why Ethan was taken, and not Laura. In 2016, a group of 4 college friends ventured into Echo Canyon to explore its slot canyons. One of them, Derek Silva, stopped to listen, claiming he heard faint music. The others moved ahead, later reporting that they'd heard nothing at all. When they realized Derek had fallen behind, the group waited at a narrow junction on the path. But Derek never joined them. After searching for hours, 2 of the friends trek out to find help, leaving one friend behind in case Derek came back to the trail. When they returned with the park rangers, the solo hiker said the area became very quiet at one point, devoid of all nature sounds. He said that's when he heard what sounded like bells in the distance, but was too terrified to venture off and refused to move from the spot. The park rangers searched the canyon and found Derek's backpack propped neatly against a rock, completely intact. In the days following the disappearance, campers nearby reported hearing metallic-sounding bells and seeing a shadowy figure pacing the canyon walls. Historical records show that over a century ago, a miner went missing in the same area under similar circumstances. Local lore is full of shadow bells stories, said to lure the lost into unreachable cracks in the stone. Could the bells predict some terrible tragedy? Or could someone be using the legend as a way to hide kidnappings or worse? Derek's friends were sure he mentioned bells, and had no thoughts of unaliving himself as far as they were concerned. His body was never found. A spelunker named Jared Novak went missing in 2020 after vlogging his exploration of an unmapped branch of the caverns. All that was found was his pack and his camera attached. The video starts normally enough, with Jared entering the cave and narrating what he sees. At one point, as the video progresses, you see him pause and turn, silently looking into the darkness, then laughing at himself, saying he thought he had heard something. There are a few more pauses like this, and you can tell he's getting more unsettled and paranoid. He says he hears someone behind him and trails off unintelligibly. Then, more clearly, he says, "There's more than one," and the camera seems to fall to the ground. From that point on, there's no more voice or movement, but the camera clearly runs for longer, and then the battery dies. Rescue teams found his helmet, light, and pack neatly leaning against the cavern wall, but no other trace of Jared. His camera was found attached to his pack, as though it was picked back up and placed on the camera mount after it died. Aside from Jared's footprints, there was no sign of anyone else entering or leaving the cavern, or around his belongings. Paranormal investigators have tried to retrace Jared's movements that day, overnighting in the same area where he went missing. Their only finding was a recorded playback of disembodied whispers that lasted for hours. But while they were there, they heard nothing out of the ordinary. There have been many bodies found in and around the park, but this one's paranormal connection separates it from the rest, at least as far as we know. A seasoned wildlife photographer, Karen Nunez, vanished without a trace while hiking the remote Shoshone Geyser Basin in 2019. Her GPS tracker and camera equipment were later found abandoned in a perfect circle of undisturbed earth, as though she'd been plucked from that spot. Footprints around the circle show she was pacing back and forth, seemingly agitated or confused. But then the prints abruptly stop outside the large circle's edge. Investigators were baffled by the lack of evidence in Karen's disappearance, and some believed she had possibly fallen into one of the many boiling thermal pools. But this never explained the strange pacing she had done. Weeks later, another woman hiking alone in the same area reported hearing someone calling for help. When she followed the direction of the woman's voice, she found nothing until she came across a large thermal pool at the edge of the woods. She reported seeing a faint figure standing in the pool's steam, who dissipated into thin air as she watched. All of this ties into native folklore of the area describing a silent circle where the earth swallows the lost. This large patch of cursed earth was where the hiker saw the figure and where Karen's footsteps were found. It seems likely that she fell into the pool. But why the pacing around the patch of land? Could she have seen or heard something that had scared her? A retired schoolteacher, Linda Barry, disappeared after having been seen in a picturesque tall grass meadow near Cathedral Lakes in 1988. Witnesses hiking the same trail on the day she disappeared claimed to have seen a solitary woman kneeling low to the ground as though looking for something, then standing abruptly, staring into the distance, and then running into the forest as if chased. Searchers found no signs of struggle, but discovered her notebook and a small day pack nearby. In the small notebook, they found the words, "Don't listen to it. It's not alone." Rangers were perplexed by the disappearance, but historians recall similar disappearances in the same meadow during the 1800s, when settlers reported strange figures standing at the tree line, calling them deeper into the woods. Linda's notebook seemed to confirm this with crude black ink drawings of what looked like tall, shadow people in the trees. Investigators concluded that she wasn't looking for something in the grass, but rather hiding from something. There have been so many stories of creatures in the woods in that part of the country, from Sasquatch to shapeshifters. Could this retired teacher have somehow seen what the other hikers couldn't? It's possible, of course, that she was hallucinating or under the influence of drugs, but what if she wasn't? And why had she run without even calling for help? An experienced mountaineer, Lucas Pacheco, vanished during a climb on Denali in 2004. A search team found his trail abruptly ended halfway up a sheer, icy slope, as if he had stepped into thin air. They also found his ice axe lodged into the rock beside a narrow crevasse, too narrow for a human body to pass into. Only a week later, another climber reported seeing large human footprints, not boot prints, footprints, leading straight into that same too narrow crevasse. There's a legend of what's called the frozen escape, a phenomenon tied to the mountain's pull on climbers who find themselves in trouble, a desperate invitation to enter the ice somehow and become a part of the mountain. Indigenous elders say the mountain doesn't simply take, it makes climbers who defy it willingly submit to it. Despite the belief that he must have fallen to his death, his body was never found, and there was no evidence of a fall. Logically, it makes sense that he fell, and then animal scavengers took his body, but there was no evidence of that either. He left behind no evidence of wanting to cut his life short. His disappearance remains a mystery. Emma Werner, an experienced hiker, and her younger brother Kyle were hiking the Forney Ridge Trail at dusk on August 14th in 2019 when they spotted a faint blue light flickering among the trees. Kyle decided to investigate while Emma drank from her water bottle on the trail. She heard him call out in awe, and then nothing. The search party discovered a burned patch of ground where Kyle went off trail, with his flashlight and phone melted beyond recognition, but no other signs of him. Even his pack was gone. Other hikers reported seeing the same blue lights weeks later, describing them as hypnotic. Paranormal researchers connect the phenomenon to historical accounts of ghost fire, sightings during the Trail of Tears which crossed through the region. Kyle's case remains open. The Bird family, camping near Lake McDonald in August of 2017, woke to find their teenage daughter Sophia missing from her tent. Her footprints led to the water's edge and stopped abruptly, Sophia's younger brother claims she mentioned seeing a pale figure standing on the opposite shore before they went to bed. Divers found no trace of her, but her necklace was discovered caught on a submerged branch of a dead tree. In the months that follow, hikers reported strange lights hovering over the lake at night, and eerie cries echoing across the water. Park records show a string of similar disappearances dating back to the 1920s, all involving young women and the same stretch of the lake. An old Blackfoot legend tells of the Pale One, a dark spirit that lures women into the water, feeding on them at the bottom of the lake. There are never signs of struggle, so it is believed the women go willingly, likely mesmerized by the mysterious lights. Most disturbingly, their bodies are never found. But in Sophia's case, investigators found a link between her father, Philip Bird, and an organized crime group out of Las Vegas. It seemed he'd crossed some bad people and they'd been after him for stealing their money. It's possible that Sophia's disappearance was linked. But there were no clear ties, just speculation. Philip died the following year during a home invasion. Although the two incidents couldn't be linked, their connection wasn't ruled out either. Could something really be haunting Lake McDonald in Glacier National Park? Or was Sophia's disappearance retaliation for Philip's transgressions? 8 stories, 8 disappearances, and still no answers. Could these mysteries simply be the tragic cost of venturing into nature's unforgiving wilderness? Or is there a deeper truth, something the official reports aren't telling us? These strange patterns, coincidences, and baffling clues leave us to wonder, are we dealing with the unexplained? Or are these stories explainable in traditional ways? What do you think? Were these disappearances the result of human error, or could something darker be at play? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you've experienced something unexplainable in a national park or anywhere else, don't keep it to yourself. Share your story. Who knows, it might just connect a piece of these unsolvable puzzles. Until next time, stay safe out there and keep your eyes open for the unknown. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more weekly stories. If there are topics you'd like me to cover or stories you'd like to submit for me to read, please leave a comment and send them to my email address in the description. If you'd like to support my work, please give me a like, comment, and definitely share these stories with your friends. It really helps. You can also do some shopping at the Lady Grimm store. There's a link here as a QR code and in the description. Thanks again, and see you next week.